So, with that video being played, you're probably asking yourself, what in the world does that have to do with what I'm about to tell you? Well, to start, I'm a show production guy, meaning I'm the type I like to go out, do shows. It can be film, lighting, whatever. That video there you saw was a thing from the Orlando Philharmonic, which was a local event. It was a smaller one around Christmas time, which the reason we picked that video is it's definitely a smaller show when it comes to the art of show production. I mean, there's events where it's massive stadiums, concerts, I mean, you name it, there's big things. But small events like that, the reason we picked that video is because that it's stuff like that, that's where everyone kind of starts when they get into gigs. So with that being said, my name's Noah Martin, and these are my plans after Full Sail. So to list some of my experience, I've worked with multiple staging companies, and I'd like to say that I'm from small town West Virginia. So I say that it's really not that impressive, but it was United Sound was a big one down there, and there was another ones with a guy named Jeff Jones called Shooting Star Sound, and that was a big one I liked. And so beyond that, I have about 5 years of theater experience of sound and lighting with my local high school, which, you know, again, doesn't sound like much, but in West Virginia, all the other high schools in our area had about $8,000, $10,000 theater budget, or we had around $40,000 for our theater budget. So we were definitely up there when it came to technical and show experience. I spent around 2 summers when I was younger, you know, loading and unloading staging trucks for the 2 previously mentioned companies, as well as one of those giant mobile stages, which is like in the back of an 18-wheeler type of truck, like a big rig, and you know, the big unfolding stage. So I've worked with those. On top of that, pretty much my entire childhood, when I was about 8 until maybe 16, 17, I spent time doing work with my dad's small sound and lighting business that he started when he came out of the military. So, you know, that was small things, weddings, birthday parties, you name it. But in all honesty, that's what really sparked my my want to learn of the show production pathway. So, and that being said, this is all prior to my Full Sail experience. So, now for my dream job, currently it is honestly kind of hard to say where I want to be after Full Sail, as I'm still attending, but I do have a basis of where I want to start. I've always wanted to work with some of the bigger companies in like the big town of Pittsburgh. Now, this is because Pittsburgh is very close to home. And a lot of people, you know, they go to college, they want to get away from home. I know a lot of people that say they want to get as far away from there as humanly possible. But me, you know, I like my home. I like where I'm from. So going to Pittsburgh, that's maybe a 2-3 hour drive at most if I want to go visit family, take a little bit of time off if I can. So that's an option for me if I try to set a home base in Pittsburgh. And there's definitely a lot of options for show production in Pittsburgh. Again, film, lighting, sound, theater, overall just basic entertainment, sports. It's all there in Pittsburgh. You can find work there, both big and small. Now, for things I will do to get to that eventual dream job, I will start by trying to get a sort of possibly like an internship job with one of the smaller production companies in the Pittsburgh area. Could be any type, again, sound, lighting, film, theater, etc. If I can find it, I'll honestly take it. If needed, I'll even take like smaller temp jobs, you know, freelance work, stuff like that for just extra cash to get my name out there, to get experience. And from there, I'll definitely be trying my absolute best to work my way through those ranks and eventually, hopefully, land a spot in one of those big companies in Pittsburgh. And now, for things I could learn to do with all of this, or where I plan to be after all of it, I should say, is I'm definitely going to try and find my way with that large company, like I've been saying. That is definitely what I want to do. I'm kind of stuck between a sort of a big, you know, the massive sports stadiums even, maybe, because, you know, I've grown up as a kid, me and my dad, we've always watched, you know, football, basketball, whatever. But, of course, theater being my home set, I've definitely looked at that as well, and like Pittsburgh's, the cultural district and stuff like that. There's a ton of options for theater there and like big Broadway-style events they put on there. Or it could even be, you know, concerts, something like that at a local big venue there. because like I stated before, I definitely want Pittsburgh to be a sort of home base for me. So, all that said, getting towards the end of my presentation here, I want to leave you with a small story with a sort of thing that kind of a phrase that keeps me driving. It's something my dad said to me long time ago when I was working with that small business I previously talked about. It was a wedding, and it was a family wedding. It was my older sister at the time. I was maybe, I want to say 15 when this happened. And it was me and my dad, and we were out there, and we were setting up just a basic lighting tree, stuff like that. And he was up on a ladder, and the ground underneath the ladder went out on him while we were trying to set it up, and he fell back, and he injured his leg very, very bad. Got caught in the ladder. It wasn't a good thing, and for the rest of that day, he pretty much was unable to work at this wedding. And, everyone was freaking out and all this stuff. My sister, it's her wedding. She's freaking out the most. I still remember her face to this day. In all honesty, it's kind of hilarious. But, I remember I'm looking at my dad. We finally managed to get everything set up. We're behind schedule. And I look at him, and he tries to hobble up and get up. And I look at him, I go, Dad, sit down. I got this. I can do the announcing for the wedding. I can do the after party. You need to sit down and take it easy. And he kind of looked at me, and he just went, okay, I'm going to trust you, and all that. And so, I get up there, I'm on stage, and we finish everything, and I'm nervous. I can feel the sweat beating up my face with every minute that goes by, and it's awful. I feel like I'm stuttering words. I feel like I'm doing a horrible job. I get done announcing everything. Everyone starts clapping. The after party kicks off and all that. And, I'm shaking. I feel nauseous. I still remember it to this day, and I smile about it. And then, so I'm up there, and I'm mixing some of the music, just playing some basic stuff for the party to dance to. And I notice my dad off to the right of me. He's hobbling over. He's got his little disposable cane that he carries around with him. And he comes up to me, and he gets up on the stage behind the little DJ booth I was at, and he puts his arm on my shoulder, and he goes, son, I want to tell you one thing. I can tell you got a passion for this, but if you ain't nervous, then you don't care enough. And I could tell you were nervous, so I can tell you got a real knack for this. So, with that being said, once again, my name's Noah Martin.